Nicole, how are you?
I think today will finally be the first day I see everyone's face.
Welcome, welcome.
Maybe. Hi, Lauren.
Hey, Ron.
Hi.
You guys are getting to the part of the semester where you all look so relieved. Like everything's
It's
finishing.
almost over.
The light at the end of the tunnel. Don't forget to record. That's, yeah. We're live on YouTube, so we have to behave now. Welcome everyone on YouTube and welcome everyone in the Zoom room. Mr. Stewart, what are we doing today?
We're doing it. We're here. It's happening, you know.
There you go. One thing also, if you are logging in with your phone or your iPad, can you change your name so it appears as your name so we'll know who we're talking to, as opposed to your phone number, and just know that we are being transmitted on YouTube. So I don't know if you're going to want your phone number out there like that. So
Erin, can you send me the link to the YouTube?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Sure.
welcome, welcome. Ashley Taylor. How you doing, Ash?
I'm
Mr.
good. How are
Cardinal?
you? I'm excited.
I'm doing well, thank you. I can go ahead and start killing a little bit of airspace, airtime, Shannon, because I'm really, really excited for tonight. I just want to say that I've heard a lot of things about the work that you've all presented, and I've looked at the work, and it's just stunning, really great work.
Mhm.
So before we even get started, I just want to congratulate everyone on just a job well done.
Yes.
So it was really, really great. So you should be proud. You should be proud of what you've done. I'm also really excited just because we got Gail Anderson tonight. Now I'll give her a proper intro later on, but I've been hoping to get Gail for the past several years to our chapter, and we got the chance to meet several years ago at Creative South, which we should, on a regular year, we should be at right this very second.
Yes.
And we chatted about some stuff, and ever since then, I was like, I want to get her down. So I'm just happy that if we couldn't do it face to face, Gail, I'm happy we were able to do it virtually, and then maybe in a few years, maybe in a few months, maybe in a few weeks, after the after everything normalizes, we can bring you down face to face, and we can show you our lovely city.
Yeah.
Yay.
Have you been to Orlando, Gail?
I have, yeah. Not for a while though. Yeah.
But have you been to Orlando proper, or did you stay over in the parks?
I know. Orlando proper and the parks.
Proper. Awesome. So we'll take you around. We'll feed you well.
Okay.
We'll take you to some cool restaurants.
I got witnesses here.
It's on YouTube, so it's forever.
Yep. Awesome. Got a good crowd on YouTube. Hello. Awesome. Okay, we are going to take a screenshot here in just a second, guys. So if you guys would please turn your cameras, we'd really appreciate it because we want to see all your wonderful faces in this photo.
And again, if you're just joining us, make sure that you put your name as opposed to your phone number or anything else on the window, so that we can identify you and so that you won't be transmitting any information rather via YouTube. Happy Spot Day. All right. We still have a couple people trickling in, so let's just give them time. Hey, Dottie, Brooke, Kiara, Avery Smith, our vice president.
This is a good looking group.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. All right.
I'm also going to take a screenshot of everyone on YouTube because I see everybody's faces. Oh, wait, never mind. It's the same thing. Sorry, just kidding. Because I'm stupid right now.
It's the same thing.
Like, it's totally full on there, and on here, I see a bunch of names.
Different platform. It's all good.
Sorry. Maybe I should have done it from there.
That's awesome.
All right. One more chance to turn on your camera, and then I'm going to take the photo. I'll give you a warning, though.
There we go. Awesome.
All right, let's see. All right. Taking a photo. Oh, wait, sorry. I got.
Aletha's coming in.
Okay, you admitted her?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Oh, Kelly Romano's coming in. We can't let Kelly out. So, these are our judges. Kelly Romano and Aletha. Aletha, we're about to take a group screenshot if you want to turn on your camera.
I'm not quite that, but I can, if you want to hide participants with their video off.
No, that's fine.
It's all good. Your face is showing. We're good.
Your photo is great, so it works. How you doing, Kelly?
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
We were just saying we're about to take a group photo screenshot, Kelly. So if you want, you can turn off or turn your camera on. If not, your photo is perfect.
Okay. Let me
right.
get into position.
Perfect. Hey, hi. All right.
That's awesome.
I keep having pop-ups. Sorry, guys. 1 second. Okay.
I'm trying not to.
Doing it quickly before I get any more pop-ups. Okay. In 3, 2, 1. And done. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you all. Feel free to leave your cameras on as we're talking to each other. Otherwise, be you. So let me know when you want to start, Shannon.
Go right ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and share the screen for you. Oops, hold on. Too many things open.
I'm really excited.
Okay.
5 people. All right.
And sharing. Okay. Do we see the presentation only?
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and, yeah. All right. So welcome, everyone. I'm really, really excited to have everyone here tonight. I wish I could see y'all's faces in real life. I wish this was under different circumstances so we can all hug it out and celebrate a job well done. But I'm just equally as excited as tonight to celebrate the culmination of the Spot Showcase, the mentorship program for 2020-2021 year. I know that you've all been working really, really hard, and I know that a lot of things are winding down for you. But I just want to take this time to thank you for being here, for your hard work, and for just being awesome all the way around. Not only the students who are the mentees, but also the judges, the mentors that have participated this year. It's been a truly spectacular year this year, and I couldn't be prouder of what our community has been doing. Mm-hmm. So welcome. My name is Victor Davila. On behalf of Shannon Calderon, and the AIGA Orlando board, I'd like to welcome you to tonight's festivities. Can you go to the next slide? If you are not familiar with AIGA, AIGA is a professional association for design. We are the Orlando chapter, and we are honored to be one of many chapters throughout the country. Next slide, please. There we go. Our mission at the Orlando chapter is to create a community where creativity thrives for everyone. We have the 3 tenets that we go by. Everything that we do falls under one of these 3 tenets, and it's to nurture creative empowerment, to improve creative impact, and to unite people. And I think tonight's event is one of those that falls under all 3 categories and does all of them very well. We are a chapter committed, or an organization committed to celebrating diversity and creating a welcoming and safe environment for every human. And we are one of 75 chapters and more than 25,000 members around the country. And you can see, based on this graphic, where the other chapters are around the country, and based on their sizes, it's the little size of the squares. And Florida has the privilege of being one of the states, along with Texas, of having 6 chapters in our state. Along, you can go to the next slide, Shannon. Along with the Orlando chapter, we also have Tampa Bay, Tallahassee, Gainesville, Jacksonville, and Miami, all chapters who are doing incredible things, working really, really hard on a volunteer basis to serve not only the creative community in our chapters, in our communities, but the overall community, the overall cities that we represent. And we have this long-standing belief that together we can do amazing things, and we try to prove that every time that we put one of these events together. And I couldn't be prouder of our chapter. Just a little shameless plug, our merch store is now open. If you go to orlando.aiga.org/merch, 100% of the profits go back to our programming. So for every shirt you buy, for whatever thing you end up buying, the proceeds go back to trying to help create great events for the community, bringing people down, that kind of stuff, and creating the events like we have tonight. So please support the merch store by going to that URL that is at the bottom there. Okay. So that's the screenshot of it. And some of our upcoming events. In a few weeks, we have the second of our ongoing Ripple workshop series, which is an amazing event that we have. It's going to be the morning of Saturday, May 1st at 9 a.m. We have 2 amazing designers coming in to join us. We have Diane Levine and Miranda Anzalone. And they're going to be talking about branding from the inside out. So I encourage you to join that event as well, to start off your Saturday morning being inspired and learning a lot of great new things. And you can join us at that URL that it's at the top there. And Gina is putting the links on the chat as well. So without further ado, tonight I'm really, really excited. As I mentioned before to some of the people who were already in the room, tonight we have Gail Anderson. Gail Anderson, I've been hoping to bring down to our community for the past several years. And it hasn't worked for one reason or another. And one of the benefits of the pandemic, I guess, if there's any silver lining to things like this, is that the atmosphere, the Zoom, the virtual atmosphere is the word I'm looking for. The virtual atmosphere has allowed us to connect with people, whereas we might not be able to connect otherwise. It has facilitated it. So it has facilitated the connections. I'm sorry, I got thrown off by the change in screen. So I'm really, really, really excited. I can't say that enough, to welcome finally the amazing, the legendary Gail Anderson to our community. Welcome, Gail. Let's give her a virtual round of applause.
Thank you. I guess I will attempt to share, and I'll try to get that little thing to go on the bottom again. So hang on for a sec, folks. Let me wait. Let me go back and see if. All right. Well, let me get myself down to. Let's see if we can get this to work this time. Okay. I think we did. Got it? You all see
Got
me?
it. Yep.
Okay, good. Yay. Okay. So hello. Howdy, howdy, howdy. I'm Gail. And this is me a long, long time ago. A graduate of the School of Visual Arts in New York, so long ago that we had our social security numbers on our IDs, which I've taken out, obviously, so you all don't steal my identity. And look at that groovy logo. Look at that groovy logo and my little surly face. So to come full circle in life, a couple years back in 2019, I became chair of BFA Design and BFA Advertising at SVA, replacing Richard Wild, who retired after 50 years. 50 years. He was the sole chair of the department, and I inherited close to 1,000 students and a new direction. I've always taught, but being in charge of that many young people, young lives, all that, what a challenge! What a challenge! So in 2019, in the fall, I went off and started my first class. I took on a class that Richard taught and changed it up a little bit, but I had, I think 150 students in that class each semester, sophomores. So I met half the sophomore class one semester and the other half the next. So this was the first day, half the sophomores, and this is a piece of the amphitheater, and very excited, got this. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. And then all of a sudden, a few months later, in my second semester in this new job, it was March, and you know what happened last March. I ended up upstate, where I have been since then, for what I thought was 2 weeks. I watered my plants and locked the door and thought I'll come up to the country. And I've had a place in Woodstock, New York for many years and always wondered what it would be like to spend more time here, never ever thinking I'd be spending an entire year here, and returning very few times to my home in the West Village, and certainly not back to my office at SVA to work, but working from here. I had two friends with me, one for 4 months and one for 6 months. So Zapung, who some of you may know on the left, and Joe Newton on the right. They were here so long, the seasons changed. What started out as a long weekend together turned into 4 months for one and 6 months for the other. I hadn't had roommates since not long after college, so it was a new experience for me and probably for them too. But it was great. It was really wonderful. But this was what life was like. Zapung's filming him. He's looking at us, and he wants to take the trash can. Let him take it. Damn it, I just bought that one. No! Oh, no! So, to say that happened once would be lying. It happened more than once. It happened quite a few times. And me worried about my $60 trash can going down the hill was the least of my problems. But this was life. Good evening or good morning, wherever you are. Hey, kitties. Come on in.
Good morning.
Hope all's well. Good evening. And we are on week 8. And so laundry just kept mounting up, and that's by the washing machine. I've moved to the living room since for a change of scenery and to be near a window. I taught the class online, am still teaching the class online, and would have special fabulous guests like Louise Feely. All of these wonderful, wonderful designers who were game to still come and speak to my class. I even helped create virtual commencement. This is John Waters of Hairspray fame, who was our speaker last year and made a wonderful little film of receiving his honorary doctorate as our commencement speaker in a John Waters designed mask and gloves. So, we were getting used to this new life, not having commencement in Radio City as we always had, getting used to everything. And then the summer came, and then now the spring of 2021. And what a year it's been. As if the pandemic wasn't enough, all of this awful other stuff's been going on. And they're just, protests constantly, and students fearing to come to the States because they or their parents are afraid they're going to get beat up or harassed or killed. So life has gotten really complicated, and it's made me really think about diversity. And we have a new DEI director at school, and I'm on a committee there. And I've really thought hard in this time up here at the top of the mountain about diversity and what it asks us to look at. And you guys heading out in the world, you're heading out into a whole different world. If you're just graduating, if you've been out there for a while, if you've been out there forever, what a different world this year. And diversity asks us to consider so much more than just race, which is what we think of instantly. It's ethnicity, gender identity, gender expression, sexual orientation, age, socioeconomic class, ability, national origin, marital status, veteran status, height, weight, skin tone, religion, on and on and on. So many different things that in my head, it was always, race or gender, but that's it. But it's so much more. And really, equity in the DEI world. Equity ensures that everyone has access to the same opportunities. And ultimately, equity fosters equality. And inclusion, inclusion's about ensuring that people feel a sense of belonging in the workplace or the classroom. So again, as I said, I've spent a lot of time sort of ruminating and thinking about this stuff as I watch TV and watch all this awful stuff going on. And inclusion creates diversity. And so this sort of full circle, just like my full circle of SVA, of being a student to being a chair and executive director there, it's just watching these circles come together in life. And really, I've learned, and I knew already, but now I've really learned that valuing differences makes for a stronger community, and it's not just sort of acknowledging differences, it's valuing the differences. So to take it back for me, these are my parents, Lloyd and Nola Anderson. Not long after they got married, 1959, came to New York. My dad had been here before from Jamaica and wanted to move back up again. My mom, also from Jamaica, reluctantly coming to New York in 1959. And there they are, very cool. My dad in his sunglasses, and he was a dapper man from to the day he died. And my sister Jerry and myself, we grew up in the Bronx in New York. And people think, oh, the Bronx. The little piece of the Bronx we lived in was very wonderful. And think of this is, 1966. We were there and went to school around the corner for the first few years. You rode your bike down the street, that sort of stuff. We were very close in age. So, wore a lot of the same clothes and all that kind of stuff, and celebrated, born the same month. So we celebrated our birthdays together because we were literally less than a year apart. But what was different about our little family, our little tribe, was that we looked a little different to the neighbors, particularly my dad, who was a bit darker than the neighbors. And the neighborhoods that the realtors took my parents to when they wanted to buy their first home, my folks were like, in particular my dad was like, yeah, I don't live there. I don't live here. I live on this block. And he set his sights on this little snippet of the Bronx and said, I want this house. And I think the realtor very reluctantly sold him the house. And the neighbors were not happy to have my family in the neighborhood put their garbage in front of our house. The next door neighbors we shared the driveway with wouldn't come out in the yard if we were there. Little weird little things like that happened through my childhood. And as a kid, you're not aware of it. We were just extra careful, and it took years. And people came around, several one set of neighbors. But my folks, in some ways, particularly my dad, since my mother was reluctant to even get on the plane and come to the States, they were pioneers, for doing something difficult and for deciding I'm going to live here. I'm going to live here. And so my little world was filled with stuff like this that I loved, that introduced me to design, but was very, I never saw my family here. I never saw people of different hues with different kinds of hair and stuff like that. Everybody was white. The games, favorite games. Still, this is obviously still something I've got. I just thought this was the best game board ever. And but you look at it and you think, wow, okay, this was the little piece of the world I was used to, and a very sugary world at that, which I've paid the price for ever since. Everything super sugar crisps and sugar smacks and just sugar. The comics that we looked at. Again, I still have all this stuff. 25 cents for the double issue, the giant issue of Archie, and 12 cents. That's how old I am. Oh my goodness. But a world that began to have a tinge of color and a tinge of controversy and a bit of a breakthrough with fun stuff that I love, like Mad Magazine. But when you look back, my little 60s, 70s life, this was what we drank. We drank Goofy Grape, but we also drank Indian Orange and Chinese Cherry. Really? Indian Orange and Chinese Cherry? This is okay? This is not okay. But that's what life was then. Yikes. The magazines, Donnie got the bigger space. David got the bigger space. Michael got the smaller space. Michael Jackson, we're speaking of. But they were pioneers as well. I go to my Jackson 5 scrapbook, 1972, I believe. This is in, this is at the Smithsonian Museum, the new, I'm sorry, somebody just left my house. The new museum. I found my scrapbook a couple years back. I couldn't believe it was all still together. The Elmer's glue held. MJ loves GA. And yeah, so I donated the scrapbook to the museum. So that's how old I am. Anyway, and then life comes full circle again, finally getting to do something related to Michael Jackson, Jackson 5, but not at the best of times, in my many years at Rolling Stone. And the next phase of life was at Spotco, doing theater. Really great, really wonderful, working for a classmate. You young folks, be nice to your classmates. You may be working with or for one of your classmates. Even in a big city like New York, it's a small world and it's a small industry, and we all overlap. So remember that. So life is good. Get to do some wonderful projects for SVA, or again, I said I've been teaching forever. My boss, executive vice president rather, Tony Rhodes, gave me an assignment to do a poster for the school subway poster. He had an Obama quote before Obama was elected that he said he had to post it on the mirror in the bathroom, and he'd see it every morning. And he wanted to do a poster, and I was so enthusiastic that I did 5 posters. And this is 3 of them with illustrator Terry Allen when Obama was elected the first time around. That Reese ran on the subway, and another set of posters. Debbie Millman, who spoke last year, her eyes up in the right hand corner. Steve Heller's mouth at the bottom with the little goatee, and my Dear Zapung again up at the top. So, I've gotten to do some really cool stuff, and I'll just go through quickly. But this is George Olden, no E at the end of George there, designed the postage stamp commemorating the 100th anniversary of the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation. damn, don't I get to do something like that? 50 years later, I got a call from Antonio Alcala from the Postal Service, one of the art directors, asking if I'd work on this project. I was like, yes, instantly. Yes, 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 yes. Probably the coolest thing I've ever done and the smallest thing I've ever done, yet the biggest thing I've ever done. We went down to Hat Show Print in Nashville on our own dime and put all the pieces together, set the type, created the poster that then became the stamp. It was actually really shot down tiny to make stamp. It became a Jeopardy clue. Again, like, okay, I can die now. This is it, a Jeopardy clue. And whose idea was that? Henceforward shall be free. That was my idea. Wow. Yet, I sometimes still believe I've got to work twice as hard to prove myself. You can ask any person of color if this is true for them, and they will say yes. You'll always wonder, am I the only person of color here? In the room at the company? And because it happens. It happens. And, I never thought about it that hard. And as I've gotten older, I actually think about it more. And sometimes you're like, really? Why am I the spokesperson? Why do you ask me what I think of this particular movie or whatever? This is the stuff that's always on our minds, no matter what. And never, sometimes it's not like it gets you angry. It's just there. And sometimes it does get you angry, but it's there. And the bigger one, when something great happens, the stamp happens, whatever, the Obama posters, has this given to me? Is this because? You know what? You'd think, why me? And now, as the years have gone by, and I get it, and I get that sometimes I am that person. So I say, why not me? Why not me? And enough with the hand wringing. So I move on and I work on fun stuff at SVA, where I'm still creative director for the school's design studio, Visual Arts Press. And that was part of my sort of taking on the chair job, that I knew I needed this creative outlet. And so I get to work with the wonderful art directors and designers I worked with for 4 years before, when I was creative director, solely creative director, to help raise awareness, to help create little campaigns and bigger campaigns, to do their annual view book, to do all kinds of projects, and to come up with stuff. And this was when Zapang actually worked with me on this subway poster, and then we worked with the press, art director Brian Smith, to extend it and make it more, to make a little social media thing. So I still get to have fun. But again, always in the back of my mind, I get to work on fun projects with friends, with Brian again on the right, with Zapang on the left, book covers, work on publications, work on stuff for the gallery, just really great projects at SVA. And just in general, I've been very, very, very lucky that projects still come my way, even in the new position that I'm in. And, huge, huge part of my life has been about wonderful people who I've worked with and who have mentored me. And Steve Heller is right up there. We've worked on, I think, 14 or 15 books over the years. These 4 came out a couple of years ago, these cool little books. And there's a new one coming out next month, I do believe, that was held up because of the pandemic, called Type Speaks. That's the front and the back and the spine. And this is the contents page. Our friend Joe Newton worked on the design for this. And we broke down contemporary type into these like silly little topics. And the book is really a design exercise as much as it is a celebration of typefaces. So I hope that you'll find it in the coming months and enjoy it. And so the important stuff that I want to tell you is, as I said, someone like Steve has been a mentor. I've been so lucky to have people like Paula Scher as a mentor. Champion and celebrate others. It's not just about you. It's about giving back. This is a pung again over on the right, as a baby. And this is Fred Woodward, who is the most influential designer on my career and my life in a lot of ways, too. Fred was art director of Rolling Stone for 14 years. I worked alongside him. And then he went off to GQ for even longer. And now he's out in the Palm Springs area, happily retired with his lovely bride, Janice. And, this was Fred's sort of big send-off that I'm clearly not dressed for. The last SPD dinner that we did a tribute. And Zapang always wanted to meet Fred. Zapang was such a wonderful student. And I made it a point, as reluctant as Fred was to meet students sometimes, to get him over there to meet him, because I had people like Paula Scher who were that for me. And so it's important. This is Trey Seals, who's done those wonderful fonts that are really civil rights era type that he's turned into entire typefaces and fonts. And Trey did the type for a talk I did in DC a couple years back. I was like, who are you? Who is this kid? So I was sort of all about celebrating Trey. And now he's really blown up and is, people are using that type all over the place. And he's just such a great young man. And he's a star now. So my friend Jerry Kraft, this is a different story. Jerry Kraft was my classmate at SVA and my buddy. And he was in advertising and he was sort of doing this and that and that and that and that and working at Sports Illustrated. And in his mid-50s, struck it big. Mid-50s. So, sometimes it happens when you guys are in school or in your 20s, like it did for Zapang, or, and whatever. And sometimes it happens in your 50s, or your 60s or whatever. And Jerry hit it with this book, New Kid, this graphic novel for young people that was sort of autobiographical. And there's a follow-up class act, and LeBron James optioned these and going to make a movie. And they've been tremendously successful. And anytime I would see them, that's me at Target and then me in my old office, I'd like take a picture and send it to Jerry. It's like, I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy for you. And I love that you stuck with it, man. And so I try to mentor as well. And you guys need to do the same. You're just starting out. So I know it's not going to happen right now. But you have to do it, or you have to teach, or you have to do something else. This is my friend Adolfo Valle, and he's in Michigan now. And he was in my first undergrad class that I taught at SVA, and he was at Newsweek for a while. We've been in touch over time, and he is now his kids are out of college, so that's how long I've been teaching. And Adolfo is really, really going at it with his illustration career. So we meet every month. We have for the last little bit to try to take a look at what he's doing, to try to connect him with new art directors. I love the idea of mentoring somebody who I was mentoring when he was in college. He was a baby. And there's a young woman in Hartford who I met at a talk a couple years ago. And she is just fantastic, Kaya Tull. And she's not an SVA person, so, again, outside my little orbit there, but I just thought she was so cool when we met at a talk and she got in touch. And we've been meeting once a month for the last year, and she's getting ready to graduate now. And it's like, all right, let's keep checking in. And so, it takes a little bit of your time, but you want to do that. You want to do that. That's me with, like, obviously a big wet head of hair there. And Kaya, who's just so cool, and hopefully somebody will appreciate you. Maybe they'll say thank you. So life lessons, be a good person. I tell this to my SVA peeps all the time. The soft skills, all that stuff counts for everything. Be a good person. When you get that job, get to work on time. or offer to be the one who stays late if needed. The people who you work for will topple over in their chairs if you make that offer. Will be so pleased that you're willing to go for it. That's what I did just by nature. And just, it seemed like, of course, I work for you and I do whatever you need. And my job is and it's such an unusual occurrence these days. And this is, again, assuming we're back out in the world and in offices one day again. But when that does happen, or the studio or whatever, be that young person who's there, who's there to help. Offer to help. Again, the art director, the editor, the whoever will just fall in their seat. When you offer to help, and they will give you more and more and more to do, because that's how that works. And ultimately, please remember, say thank you. All those soft skills, all that stuff your mother taught you. Say thank you. Say thank you. That's all I got. And on that note, I will say thank you. So enough of my old lady advice.
That was amazing. Thank you so much. Let's give Gail a virtual and a real a round of applause if you can.
I'm sorry somebody left while my friend Adam's been here painting the back of the house for seems like 5 years. Although, and his dog was in here, and he's like, "All right, I gotta go."
That's awesome.
Just go. Don't turn the camera. Make you talk. So sorry.
No, that's great. Thank you. The beauty of Zoom, right?
Yeah.
So, thank you so much. So if you guys have questions, feel free to put them on the chat. We're going to be monitoring the chat. And you can either unmute yourself and ask the question yourself, or I can ask the questions for you. So Rami, we can start off with you because I see that you have a question. Do you want to unmute yourself, or do you want me to go ahead and ask?
Yeah, I can unmute myself.
There you go.
Can you hear me?
We can.
All right, perfect. Is there any back talk? Because my phone's on too.
No, you're fine.
All right, perfect. So my question was, as a person of color as well, and now I just started to wear hijab this year as well, what is the best way to deal with discrimination in the design industry, how to overcome it, and also how to put yourself out there when you overcome it as well?
Think about it as this is our moment, and run with it. This is, I tell every young designer of color, this is your moment, so make the most of it. Get involved. I was so used to it, and I kind of just half accepted it because that's just what life was, and I didn't know there were designers of color. Everybody was white, and my classmates at SVA at the time, the most, I don't know, the person who was the most exotic came from California, and I was like, "How did you get here?" Just how'd you get to New York from California? That's amazing. So, exotic to me was people in Brooklyn because I was in the Bronx. But your worlds are so different now. And you have to make some noise. And I guess, I don't even know how to, I don't even know the overcome part of it because it's still a struggle. And I haven't had tons of obstacles. I've been lucky compared to others. And, you're going to have as many for being a woman, they're just there. If you have a disability, if whatever actually, I shouldn't say when I talk to Paula Scher, I feel like she and Louise, for me, and a whole group who's like a generation ahead of me, or generation and a half, they sort of broke that ground for women. So that's to me less of a thing. Yeah, I don't even know how to answer that question. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts, honestly, I'm still kind of like dealing with it since this is my first year like as like a visually representative like Muslim. So just seeing the difference on how people stopped interacting with me because I wore hijab, seeing how certain companies or certain people like treat me differently, like it shows like a different perspective, like, oh, just
Huh.
because I decide to cover my hair, it doesn't
Really?
mean like, yeah, like I'm a different person or anything like that.
What's
Or just because I decide to restrict myself on like certain design components, like I stopped doing illustration just to get closer to my religion. Like I stopped doing like facial illustrations. I'm more like kind of more like object stuff like that. I'm perfectly fine with, but when it comes to like
Huh.
facial illustrations, I'm like, oh, I don't do that. And then people like sometimes even get upset at me. They're like, why don't you do that? Isn't that
Really?
like a part of what you do? Yeah, like it happens. It happens. There's times where even like certain companies where I've reached out to them, where, for instance, one of my friends who live in Manchester, a company rejected them because they wouldn't accept them allowing to pray at work because we pray like 5 times during a day.
Yeah.
So the company said, no, you can't do that. And they're telling them, no, it's a part of my religion.
Really?
Like you have to understand that. And just seeing that, like I didn't expect those things to actually happen in real life. So I'm just like trying to see like what is a professional, I
No.
guess, way to stand up to those things.
You will end up going through HR to make sure there's a space for you to pray. I feel like we're in this great place where things are slowly changing.
Mhm.
What was your project?
My project is called Rama, which
Okay, so
is,
there you go.
yeah.
That alone, like boom, when I saw that. Like you're already doing it.
Thank
You
you.
are already doing it. So, and it's you and everybody your age, because now I'm old and I'm tired and you need to do this. And you are
Thank you.
doing it. You are doing it. And yeah, you answered your own question. So that's an amazing project.
Thank you. I'm actually really honored that you actually recognize my project. Wow, I'm touched.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I went through them yesterday or the day before. I was like, wait a minute, what's this? Wait, this is like a kid project? Wow. So yeah. Yeah. The answer is you. So
All right.
and you already got it. So
Thank you.
Thank you,
yeah,
Robbie.
all the
Thank you,
projects
Gail.
were really good. It was fun to look at everything.
That was amazing. I got a little bit like teary just there for a second. I don't know why.
I mean, come on, that
But
project.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I know
Yeah.
Rami well, so I think she's gonna like, make an impact wherever she goes. So
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, thank you. I'm so
Yeah,
touched.
that you got. Yeah, please just let me know what. Yeah.
right.
I'll be in the back seat. You'll be in the front seat.
I also
I'll
have
just be like,
one
what's she doing?
question,
Yeah.
continuing that a little bit as well, just realizing that, but not only for me, but any person of color, I realized you brought it up as well, where we have to do like 2 or 3 times as much as work compared to someone who's not a person of color.
I'm going to be 59 in a few weeks, and I still feel that way. I'm still like killing myself to just. I've been in that mode since I was a kid, and I don't know how to turn that off still because because I feel anything that you get, you think somebody's going to think you got it because of affirmative action or something else. My sister is a brilliant scholar, and the assumption is that she went through and got all these degrees. Oh yeah, just they hooked her up. No, she was brilliant, and like yeah.
I'm still kind of like learning the process and everything, but for those, I know there's some people who ask me like they're starting off with like graphic design, like as Muslims, as people of color, like as like a young Black artist and everything. They ask me kind of, how do you deal with trying to equalize yourself to a non-person of color to get recognized and everything? So is there a way where rather like I'm started this project just to kind of set my foot out there to kind of bring my background, bring my reasoning just to put myself out there a little bit. But for those who are just like starting and everything, how do you kind of have to deal with like, or like what's the best way to put yourself out there like as a person of color where you don't have to necessarily do what we're still doing, where you have to put in like 2 or 3 amount of the times of work, because I'm like working 6 things just to get recognized as one person, and me realizing like that now by the end of my senior year, I'm like, that's not fair that I have to do that.
But you
just
don't
to put my name out there.
No, you don't. It's kind of in our heads. I can tell you're so accomplished already. You don't have to.
Thank you.
Shouldn't have to do that. But we have to get ourselves to stop thinking that you know that we have to be that person, and we have to get used to promoting ourselves and all those things like, oh no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. You have to be that person to put it out there, just like everybody else. And sometimes it's harder, and you have to be the one to start the organization. You have to be the one to join the chapter, to do whatever. But yeah, that's why for me, I hit that sort of why me, why not me moment of like, no, I've done this forever and I'm good at this and I'm smart, and just like, I gotta give myself a break already. And so I don't want you guys in your teens, 20s, 30s, whatever, to think that you've gotta, be the Jamaican with 3 jobs like me. You don't, you have to start to erase that thinking. But it's society that that gets that going. And you have to, thing that I learned through all that was that because of all the hard work, I kind of forgot to have a life at some point. And to do things like take a trip and relax, and because you're just always, feeling like you've got to work so hard. So, I want to say to you guys as young people, especially in a state with sand and ocean, are you out of your minds? Like, stop working that hard. Like, just, okay, you have to work really hard in your 20s and your 30s for sure. And then you begin to buy your 40s and your 50s with what you've done then. But, give yourself a break. And as I've learned, as I get closer to 60, the life goes by pretty quickly. And I regret not taking more breaks. And it was only when I started to travel a little bit that I realized, like, the office didn't burn down because I wasn't there for 2 weeks, or, they still knew how to make things without me. And just give yourself a break. Hard lesson. And for me, being up here at the top of a mountain for the last year, it's like, oh my goodness, like there are deer outside. Now, it's freaking bears too, but I lived in a little apartment forever and looked at a brick wall, and now it's like, what was I thinking? Like, this is better. So enjoy your lives, and you get the inspiration by going out and doing it, and that was like, who knew? So going to Italy a few years ago, I just like, I came back like just so ready. So yeah, save your pennies, work hard, save your pennies, take a freaking trip. So, and then plan another one and then take it. And now, of course, wear your mask and all that, but take a trip.
Of course. Thank you so much. That helped out a lot. And then one last quick question that I've experienced, especially during this pandemic. How do you deal with, I know a lot of young designers, especially, how do you deal with that identity crisis where you're at the point where you're like wondering, is my design good enough? Can I make it out in the field? Because I've dealt with that a few times. I've had a few.
Looking at your work, you're fine. Just sit down. You're fine. You are more than fine. You don't spend all your time comparing yourself to people on social media, all that stuff. Just like do the work and go have a life, because there's so many people who are so good right now. And once you start scrolling too much, you're just, you know, yeah. So I guess I tried to turn that into like, let me celebrate those people. Let me talk about them when I do talks. Let me champion them. Because if not, you'll just go out of your mind. You get bitter and jealous and all that stuff. And, oof. So yeah, you're overthinking stuff now because we've been home too long. So
See, I always do that. I'm an
yeah.
overthinker. I always do that from the littlest things, not even design wise, just in general. I do that.
Lighten up, girl. You got this.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rami. Thank you, Gail.
Sure.
Ava, you have a question? Do you want to unmute yourself, or do you want me to ask it for you?
I can, yeah. Well, let me scroll up in chat just so I don't like accidentally forget. That'd be a little bit embarrassing. Oh, of course. I love your work. I wanted to see what like your most challenging project was. Like you've done a ton of amazing accomplishments, but I wanted to see like personally to you, what was like the coolest project to overcome, and you see it and you're like, yes, I did this. Thankfully, I got through it.
The first time I saw something, one of the theater posters, the first time I saw it in the subway station, I remember getting off the train. It was on the one going home, and I got on 34th Street, and I got off at 28th to look at the poster in the station, and I got off at 23rd to look at it, and I got off at 18th, and I hadn't done that in so many years. So seeing my work out in the public like that was so much fun. But the big thrill really was the stamp, because it was very successful, which was great, but it felt like I was like doing something for the country, and that was kind of cool. And it was something I just always thought, like, how do you get to do that? I would love to do that. And since then, that was 2012 that I worked on that. For the last 7 years, I've served on the Citizen Stamp Advisory Committee for the Postal Service. So I'm in DC 8 times a year, meet with the art directors, and I meet with the committee, and we read public proposals, and we help select the stamps that people use. And I put in my 2 cents on the design. And so that project, which came at a time when I wasn't feeling terribly confident, and I was dealing with 2 elderly parents who were ill and thinking about their care and their final years, and this project came along and made me feel so good. And seeing people use it, and then the Jeopardy clue thing, it was on the news. It was like, that was the breath of fresh air, and something that was, that was and that I just wasn't sure if it was going to stick, if it was going to go through and be approved. And you can't say anything until it's released. And so I had to sort of sit on it for a year and not tell anyone. And then it was finally released, and it was like, so that was the project for sure. But anytime, even the Rolling Stone stuff years back, the first time you see your work in the magazine, and then you see the magazine in another city or in another country. And even before then, when I worked in Boston at the Sunday Magazine at the Boston Globe, I remember seeing the work like on the floor of the train, as garbage. And I was just like, all this work, and it's like somebody's standing on it, but it was so cool still, because it was still part of the world, even if it was garbage, literally at that point. But yeah, when you get to see your stuff out in the world, and which is a different experience than seeing it on the screen, but I'm still trying to wrap my head around that in my old age. But yeah, you're just like, I can do this forever. So you guys are going into a field that you'll have those highs, which keep you going. And that's very exciting. And you're coming into this at a time when technology is just mind blowing. So the sky's the limit, and you're coming in at a time where people actually make money doing this, and where you're respected and you have a seat at the table, and you are the creator. You're not just a pair of hands, and you're not just making it look cool. You are making the thing. And that's, so you guys are jumping in this, even though it's, a pandemic, you will have the flexibility, because you'll know how to work from home and work in isolation versus an office. And you're coming into this at a good time, even though it seems like an awful time.
I really appreciate it. I mean, for me, that's my purpose for design, seeing it printed and having other people enjoy it physically.
Yeah.
So that's awesome to
Yep.
hear. My
Yep.
favorite thing about DC was the Postal Museum with the stamp section. So
Postal
yes.
Museum, where you have to like strip down just to go in, all the security, but the Postal Museum is fantastic.
Yeah, I didn't expect much from it. I was like, oh, it's like this is
I
slightly bit
know.
smaller, but the stamp section like blew my mind. I'm like, oh my god, they're showing the programs I use. I can relate to this. I loved it. It was amazing.
And I can't believe I know so much about stamps now, in that I get excited when new stamps come out. And even here in the local post office, I'm like, I knew what that was going to be a year ago. But, they're like, yeah, who cares? But, like I see stuff and I've got like a drawer of stamps that I'll never use. Like, oh my God, I collect so much stuff already. I don't want to collect more things, but I like this. This is so cool. So
That's awesome to hear. I'm happy we relate on that.
Any of you can do this at some point. The person who does, there's a set of stamps that someone does who's literally just a year out of school, an illustrator. You can be the big famous designer, or you can be the young artist who's just starting out. And we look at everybody to work on stamps. So it's not just an old guy thing. So, and not just an old white guy thing. So there's that too.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Now, what do you guys have next? Do you have your award ceremony?
We do. We have the presentation of awards and the recognition. Yeah.
Ooh.
So we have a couple more questions, if that's
Sure.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Kiara, would you want to unmute yourself?
Hello. Gail, my question was, how do you insert yourself into creative spaces where you don't have any pull, like furthering that idea of connection making?
Where you don't have any pull. You kind of, it's one of those, you just kind of have to go for it. Because again, if I start thinking too hard about it, I won't do it. And you have to be willing to say something really dumb. And you're going to sit in meetings where people say the dumbest things. And you're like, well, why didn't I speak up? If that knucklehead said something, why couldn't I say something? And after a while, you're just like, damn, I'm just going to speak, because people just like to hear themselves talk. And if you're really putting some thought into it, and you don't talk too much, and you speak when you really have an opinion and not just want to just keep yapping like everyone else, people will start to listen to you, and if you speak really honestly and from the heart and not using jargon and buzzwords and all that, people will listen to you. But if you take all the air out of the room by talking all the time, it's like, yeah, la, 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 after a while. But it comes in time. For me, it came with age, and sometimes it comes with necessity, because you just have to. But when you're just out of school and just starting out, it's really hard sometimes, because but nobody will remember the dumb thing that you said. That's the other thing. You think they're gonna home and think about it, and like, people just want to hear themselves, like they're waiting for you to finish so they can say something. So once you realize that like everybody's just like fighting for their time to talk, then you start to speak too. But if you don't abuse it, they'll be like, wait, she said something. Okay, let's listen. It really does work that way. So and there are definitely times that even now I'll think, on one of these calls or something with the students, it's like, God, what did I say? Like, oh, that was dumb. And then 2 days later, I don't remember it anymore. So, and that's age too. So that you just start to forget everything. But yeah, get out in the world and don't sweat it so much.
Thank you.
And speak from the heart. So.
Thank you, Kiara. Yeah. Thank you, Gail. Ren, do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Sure. Hi.
Hey.
For starters, I'm super jealous of your New York home. Getting to see bears and deer outside your window sounds like a dream.
Oh yeah. There's the top of a mountain out there. So
my question for you is, how do you stay like adventurous and curious for design and so motivated? Because you seem so excited.
Fear does it. I change, and I really mean that. In changing up what I do, and I don't say with any frequency, it's like every decade or so, but to force myself to do something different every now and then, after doing magazines for so many years and after working at Rolling Stone, I was like, I have to try something else. It's like I had the most amazing, wonderful job for a great person. I learned so much. It's like I can take this into a new magazine role and probably make a ton of money, but I needed a different challenge then, because I felt like I know how to do that, and now I have to see if I can do something else. And when this job at Spot came along, working for my classmate Drew and doing the Broadway theater stuff, that was a totally new world. And it was leaving behind all of the editors and art directors and the design organization stuff that I was known in, and trying something different with people who were like, and who are you? And entering this little community of theater people who were, it was very insular. And that was really scary. And that took a while. And then even now going into, working at an academic institution and then chairing a department, and a jumbo department at that, it's terrifying. And then doing it in a pandemic. But you have to sort of challenge yourself, because when you're scared, you are motivated. So,
That's a good point.
yeah, yep. And those little successes feel so good, because they're not little like, oh, this is just a cool design or whatever. They're these sort of life successes that you feel like I conquered this, or I helped someone, or I mentored someone, or I whatever. Yeah. So if you're doing something and getting too comfortable and you find yourself coasting, it's time to do something else. So, and I'm as guilty of that as anyone else. And I knew at the end of Rolling Stone that I was coasting. And I would have had Fred stayed there, I'd still be there now, because I was just like, this is great. I'm happy. I like working for him. I like what I'm doing. And it would have been the stupidest thing in the world, and yeah, so you got to shake it up every couple of years. And then as you get older, every couple of decades, or every decade. But
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks,
yeah.
Thanks, Ren. Jennifer Chocolate, do you want to unmute yourself?
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Hi. I just want to say this is really cool, because a year ago we each had to present on designers, and I had to present on you. So this is like full circle moment.
I'm sorry.
This is so cool. But my question for you was, what place or country have you visited that has impacted you the most?
Italy. I know I'll go back. I went once. I have a friend who has a house, and that was like, well, I thought, okay, I'll go because she's got the house. And so
Right.
that's how I justified it, that, well, I'll be staying at the house, so it's not so extravagant. And then I got to Italy, and I was like, I am coming back to Italy. And then I brought my sister and my niece, because I was like, you put your pennies together, we are going back. We're going to stay at my friend's house again, and then we're going to venture and stay in some hotels in different parts. And we
Right.
did that. And then I went back again. And I would, if I could go back, yeah. Italy. It's amazing. And so my sister and my cousin and myself, the goal is to go to South Africa. And
Beautiful.
so that's the next big trip. And so that's our, as we approach 60, that's the goal. So we've actually been saving separately to do that. So it's like, we're not charging this, like we're gonna pay for this, and we're gonna go. And yeah. But Italy, it's amazing.
Beautiful.
The light, the color, the stuff, the type, the signs, just, I can't believe I hadn't been there. I waited till my, I don't know, however old I was to finally get there. And I think I've been a lot of places, but mostly to speak. And then I think, okay, well, since I'm here, I'll stay another couple days and travel for a while. And I never gave myself just the trip without something attached to it. And then once I started to do that a little bit, it's like, this vacation thing that people have been talking about. Like, so
It's awesome.
make that first trip to Italy. So
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much.
yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Jen. We have a couple other questions. Mr. Stewart, Jordan Stewart, why don't you go ahead and unmute yourself?
Hi.
Hey.
You're awesome, as Jen was
Oh,
saying.
thank you.
Agree more. But so in your presentation, you talked a lot about these really awesome full circle moments in your life. So as someone who is an educator and a mentor and a trailblazer in their industry, what circles do you hope, the future generation of designers closes in their life?
You guys have to work on this diversity thing. So my people, because this, God, I turn on the TV and, we went what we went through last summer, and now what I'm seeing my Asian students deal with, the fear of coming to New York or coming to the United States in general, the rumors they're hearing, the stories that actually aren't true, but still that's what their belief is now, that the stuff is just, you open the door and bad stuff's happening as soon as you open the door, which isn't the case, thank God. But I feel like I have hope. I look at TV commercials and I see the diversity in couples and in body types and in color and all kinds of stuff that you didn't see even a couple of years ago. Remember the Cheerios commercial a couple of years ago that had the interracial family and the little daughter, and it was like, oh yeah, the father's black, and this was like 2013, and now like we're getting past that stuff, but then this year happens with. So this is, you guys got to pick this up now, and we'll be there to help you, we old folk, but this is on you. So that's the circle, that's the big one. So
For sure. Well, thank you so much for starting that circle for us, and I hope
my circle's been a little wavy there. So, but I think my parents, particularly my dad, who was just like, I want this, and and just went for it. And even though I know my mother was like, Lloyd, and would have just gone back on the plane and gone back to Jamaica, never became a citizen until towards the end of her life. He went for it, and so did his brothers and the next generation of us, and so
definitely.
Little Jamaican pioneers.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jordan. I just have a couple questions for me, Gail, if we could. What do you think, you kind of touched on it a little bit in your presentation, but what do you think the role is of the mentor or the teacher? What do you think is our place, the best thing that we can offer a student or mentee in this case? What do you feel is our role, or what should our role be?
I know that our role right now, this school year in particular, which I know is different, but our role is to check in more and to carve out time to listen more. And Zoom has kind of opened that up a bit, because it's easier to have that separate meeting with a student and to spend the extra 15 minutes with them, to just connect with them online and chat for a while and check in. And it's harder for people to sort of hide in the way that they would sort of find that spot in the classroom that was hard to reach. And, you couldn't get back there to get over to sit and talk to them and look at their work, or they wouldn't show work. And in this new setting, everyone's sort of more accountable. So that's been a good thing. So right now it's been time that we're giving, which is really hard because everybody's scrambling and going from Zoom to Zoom to Zoom. So, and you find those special folks like Kaya, for me at Hartford, who's easy to mentor because she's so good. And then there are others who aren't as easy, who aren't maybe as gifted or as articulate or forthcoming, and you have to do that as well and draw out the people who are struggling. So
Do you ever find yourself as the mentee, or do you mentor people who aren't students, who are more professionals, several years under their belt? Do you still get mentored by Paul Scher or Louise Feely, who you mentioned earlier?
Steve, Fred,
Steve?
all of them. When
Yeah.
I mean, even when it came to thinking about this new job, I remember texting Fred. I was like, I gotta ask Fred, and he was like, let me think about this, and came back with all these questions and things to consider. And yeah, Steve is that person. Paula is very quick to share an opinion in a wonderful way. Oh, let me tell you what to do, and I love that. Louise, yeah, I've got this circle of folks who I can ask, and who do that thing in my 50s that they did in my 20s and 30s, so you have to find those people, and they're out there. So
I agree. I tell my students to surround yourself with people with good set of friends who have your back, but will tell you when you're wrong or will
yes,
sugarcoat things.
that's harder as you get older and as you get further along. People are afraid to tell you when you've screwed something up. Or I remember doing even just a couple of years ago, doing a t-shirt that I thought was good for the school, and that other people I worked with in the department really didn't like, and they were afraid to tell me, so all of us of a certain generation were like, this is great. And then everybody younger was like, oh, that's the stupidest thing. I was like, why didn't you tell me after this thing didn't sell and I didn't know why? And I'm like, well, it's like, you were afraid to tell me that this t-shirt was bad. Like, you've got to do that. Like, I've got your back, you've got to have mine. Just because I'm in charge doesn't mean I'm not going to design something awful every now and then. And yeah, so you want people around you who are going to take you down a peg when you need to, or just say like, no, not that,
Absolutely. We have two final questions from students, and we'll go ahead and finish it off there. Jay, do you want to unmute yourself and ask your questions?
Yeah. So how do you prevent burnout or getting tired of being the spokesperson for diversity or equality?
I don't think that I am. I think I'm one of a bunch of people, but it's a pretty small bunch sometimes, but it's growing. So, and again, and I'm getting older, so it's time for you to do it. And for me to be like, yeah, she's right. And there's so much for me to learn about your young worlds and vocabulary and all of the gender expression stuff that's so new to me as an old person. And all of us want to learn, and so it's on you. And I'll continue to carry the mantle for the stuff that I feel comfortable with and that I feel versed in and that I've lived through. But all of the new politics and all of the new identities and or words that cover these identities or whatever, this is what you have to educate us on as older folk, and be gentle with us and generous, and as much as things regarding one kind of diversity that I know to sort of take a breath or roll my eyes or laugh with a friend, that we want you to do the same with this next challenge of inclusiveness, to be able to step back and say, okay, she's going to get it. what a dope, just give her some time. Yeah, and not be too judgmental. So, but yeah, you have to step back and sort of have a chuckle every now and then, and not take everything quite so seriously. Because again, like I said with the other stuff, like life is short, and as I get older, I realize, like, good Lord, and I look at Prince Philip and I think, well, he was 99, so like, how much? I've got plenty of time. But yeah, life is short, so lighten up a little bit. So
Thank you, Jade.
Awesome. Thank you.
yeah.
And Thelma, you want to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes. Hi. So I have a question. Who are your inspirations now, and what do you look at to keep your ideas fresh? I know that for me.
I buy books. Buy books, people. I know you like your internet and your Dribble and Pinterest and all that stuff, but buy a book every now and then. And my students don't want to do that because books take up space, and like, oh hell no, buy a book, buy a book, buy a book. There are incredible design books. Go out to the Letterform Archive in San Francisco. It will blow your mind. You can sit there and just look at stuff, and they'll give it to you, and you don't have to wear white gloves or anything. Go out in the world and take your phone and take pictures of signage and type and textures. And yeah, I'm still inspired because I'm still looking, and sadly hoarding. So the books pile up, and they're books that don't get open for years, but then I remember I need to look something up, and I've got the book. So yeah, you have to just keep immersing yourself. And then, as I said before, and then step back every now and then and get inspired by being in a different setting, whether it's in the city for you or in the country for me or whatever. Just, you got to shake it up every now and then, or you just take it all for granted. So
Well, on that note, I actually also really like books and I collect them. What books are you reading right now, and which one is your favorite that you own?
Reading is different right now because
Okay.
of the car. I have discovered the audiobook, and I love audiobooks now. So I just drive and listen and just listen and learn, and listen to David Sedaris books, or I listened to Obama's book, which was 28 hours, and I felt like we were all buddies at the end of it. So I'm listening to Bakari Sellers now. So that's separate from the design stuff. There's a pile of design books here, a pile. And yeah, keep building that archive for yourself, because the books go out of print, they get super cheap, and then they get super expensive. And you want to hit that sweet spot when they're cheap or when they're whatever Amazon price there is. But every now and then you think like, oh, remember that book that Steve wrote? Let me look it up. And now it's $100 and something. The book that was once $19.99. So, in your apartment, in your house, make some space for design books and type books and illustration books and whatever else. And I mean, read books as well, but get an Audible subscription and listen to a book in your car. It's amazing. So,
thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Thelma. And I know I said that was the last question, but Ashley Taylor asked a question. I want to make sure that Ashley has her chance. So we'll end with Ashley's question. Ash, go ahead.
Better be a good question, Ashley.
That is a lot of pressure.
Ending.
I'm deeply.
The pressure's on. So
I'm deeply honored. As an educator, I wanted to talk to you about. I get the question, or I'll have a lot of conversations with students, and I don't like to ask like, what do you want to do when you graduate? I kind of more want to ask like, what's a project they want to work on. But so moving to my question is like, how do you talk to a student that's just like, I don't really know what to do yet. I just want to work in the design field.
Yeah. Well, I think that you have to tell right now, especially, you have to tell them to have an open mind, because I don't know what's coming. I think it seems like there are jobs, and we're having an industry fair soon that people are signing up to come and meet students. But they have to be flexible now, and they can't just say, well, I want to do magazines or I want to do whatever. They have to be really open right now. I want them to get jobs that pay something and not internships or these new internships that are sort of jobs, but not really. And like, no, hire people, or, or freelance or permalance and all this other stuff. They have to be open. And as I say to my folks, you have to be a real Swiss Army knife now. You have to know how to do a little of everything. If you come to my office, as we would have interns sometimes, and they don't know any motion, it's like, no, you kid, you're supposed to know how to do this. You have to have a little of everything under your belt, and you have to have a little InDesign, which nobody ever wants to learn for some reason. So you have to, and those kids have to be willing to help and be willing to be as brilliant as they are, low man on the totem pole. And nobody's ever going to ask you to get a coffee or any of that stuff. That doesn't really happen, but they will ask you to cut something out sometimes. And I can't tell you how many times people have never used an X-Acto knife before. And it's like, can you just trim this out for me? Because I'm going, what? Is there a scissor? Like, is there a scissor? And I'm like, here's the blade, and they're like, what? And then you cut and then you change the blade. What? And then you don't just put the blade down, you put the blade in the tin. They're like, so yeah, you gotta know how to do stuff, kids, as brilliant as you are. So, but yeah, have an open mind right now. So, and hopefully you won't be working remotely forever, but you probably will be for a little while. So people have done amazing internships, that some of the students, but they've done them, sitting on the couch right now. But it's going to come back, and we'll want to be together. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And just to show off, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, Victor, but I do have
you have George Olden. Nice. Good for you.
My mother's. It was my mother.
Oh, I've got it too, somewhere in this pile of stuff here. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. That was great, Ash. Thanks. All right. So that was amazing, Gail. I don't know how to thank you. I don't know how to express how awesome this was for me, and I'm sure for the rest of the audience, because I think this is something that was a long time, as I mentioned earlier, a long time wish for me. So I think we can talk to you for the next 5 hours, just asking you these questions and just listening to you. But so we'll have to save that for when you come down actually physically, and we treat you to restaurants around the city. And
restaurants, people. I'm coming.
Yeah.
He's promised me restaurants.
It's being recorded, so yeah.
I want to see water and sand. Okay.
Oh, we can definitely do that on 2 coasts.
Don't want to see any bears. I've got enough bears up here. So
we got bears, we got coyotes, we got all that stuff too. So we don't have mountains though. I don't know what you're talking about. We have Space Mountain.
Yeah. I did that when I was in high school. So
there we go. So thank you so much. Let's give Gail another round of applause and show her our appreciation for being here. Thank you so much. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the ceremony.
I want to see what happens. Yeah.
Awesome. Let's do this. Let's stay. Right. So on that note, I'm going to hand it over to Shannon for the rest of the time.
Great. And I'll mute.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Let me screen share, hopefully. All right. Do we see the? Nope. Okay. Do we see the presentation again?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much, Gail. That was so amazing. Thank you for sharing your life with us and what's going on with you. And that was an amazing talk. It was so good. And the Q&A session was amazing. So we really appreciate you being here with us. All right. So we have the rest of the time we have left with you guys. We're going to do awards for this year's Spot Showcase. So if you are viewing this and you want to check out the showcase while we are awarding the prizes, this is the link on Behance. You don't have to be a member to view it. So if you want to check it out, there you go. You can also find this link on our AIGA website on the mentorship page, and probably on our Facebook page at this point as well. And now it's time for awards. Okay, so we have a new sponsor this year, Native Screen Print Company. Tim Stiles and Harrison Lemire, and I apologize if I said that name incorrectly, but they are giving us the We Spotted Your Work and Now We Want to Print It award. And for this year's winner, you will be receiving 75 poster prints with their screen printing company up to 3 color on those. And the winner is Nicole. Congratulations. Her mentor was Tania. Great job. If you haven't seen that project, it is really good. You guys should totally check it out. Perfect for screen printing. So congratulations, Nicole. Our next award is from Lure Design. It's our Fresh Eye Award by Jeff Knotts and his crew over at Lure. And this year, they will be giving Lure swag and a $200 cash prize for this year's winner. And that goes to Ramisa, mentor Kathy Baptista. Congratulations, Ramisa. That is awesome work. Next up, we have our coveted People's Choice Award. Normally when we meet in person, this award is voted on by people walking around the exhibits and putting the little spots on your nameplate, which is where we get the spot for our spot showcase name. But this year we did it digitally on Behance. So this award goes to the person with the most likes on our Behance as of Friday at, I think, 4 p.m. When we took the screenshot. And the winner of this prize is going to get a $100 cash prize, a choice of one of the items in our AIGA Orlando merch shop online, and also an AIGA membership for the coming year. And the winner is Brianna and her mentor, Robert. Congratulations, Brianna, that is awesome. We had a lot of views on our Behance site this year, you guys, so far. I mean, we just have had this up for about a week now, and we already have almost 10,000 views on our site. So kudos to you guys. You did amazing work this year.
And it was featured on the Behance page or something like that, right, Shannon?
Yep, we had 2 students. Our total page was featured, and also 2 students, Ramisa and Jade, were featured by Behance. So congratulations to you both. It's amazing. I don't think we had that last year, so we're definitely building momentum with this showcase online. So kudos to you all. Okay, second to last prize for tonight, we have our judges' best presentation. So for the next 2 prizes, we had our judges vote on all of your projects, and based on their scoring, we have 2 awards. This one is for best presentation, and the person will be receiving their choice of 1 item from our merch shop, an AIGA membership, and a $150 cash prize. And the winner is Jade, and the mentor is Karen. Congratulations. Good job. And our final prize tonight is the Judges Best in Show Award. This is the coveted spot brick for the trophy, a choice of one of the items off of our merch shop, an AIGA membership. We're also getting screen printing, 24 t-shirts from Native Screen Print Company, up to 3 colors, and a $200 cash prize. And the winner is Best in Show. Oh, sorry, I forgot to show you guys the brick. This wonderful trophy was designed by our very own Raina, and we are super thrilled to be handing it out to Ramisa. Congratulations. Again, mentor Kathy Baptista. Congratulations, Ramisa. Such a job well done.
I am driving right now. I'm sorry, but I literally I learned the most ungodly. Oh my God. She was like, I'm not gonna win anything. I said, no, yes you are. I did not expect to win. So I thought we're like heading to UCF because we're doing a Ramadan Iftar, and I was so excited for that. Oh my God! Thank you.
Oh my gosh, congratulations. Please don't crash.
Please drive safely.
Please be
Rami.
careful.
Really, what are you doing?
Oh my God.
Please drive safely.
Congratulations to everyone. You guys did such an amazing job. I'm so proud of you all. Like, I'm so proud of this group. This was the second year we did online, but last year we started half in person and then we moved to online. So you guys didn't really get to meet each other this year. I'm sorry about that, but you guys really pulled it all together. You gave your A game and we are so proud of you. And I'm just so glad that we got to participate in your mentorship program this year. We want to thank all of our judges this year. We got Justin Hamana, Kelly Romano, Peter Satiu, and Tricia Hines. Thank you so much for judging. We kind of had a really long judging week, so it really turned out great, and we thank you guys for participating, and we hope you will participate with us next year as well. We want to thank our sponsors, Jeff with Lure, and Tim and Harrison with Native Screen Print Company. Thank you so much for your sponsorships. You've really made tonight's awards awesome, so we really appreciate you guys. Native Screen Print Company is also offering 20% off for students and AIGA members on their website. So note that website down, guys, if you want any screen printed shirts or posters, 20% off. And if you're not an AIGA member, shameless plug, you can sign up on our website. It's a great way to get involved with our organization. A lot of times we have meetings that are for free for members. So we do give back, but it's also a great community to join. So please consider becoming a member. And I just want to thank our students. You guys were rock stars this year. It's been such an amazing year. I wish I could have gotten to know you a little bit better, all of you. I know if we would have had face-to-face time, it would have been a little more ideal, but you guys did so great with the online. So thank you so much for participating. To our mentors, thank you so much for giving your time to all of these students. The projects just were so amazing. We had such a good turnout this year, and I just want to thank you for sharing your time with us, and I hope that we can do it again next year. And I just want to
Can I take this one, Shannon?
Yeah, sure.
I want to take this one because I want to thank not only the mentorship team, Alexis, Karen, Scott, Virginia, but this is a lot of work, and Shannon just hits it out of the park, kicks it out of the pitch, whatever it is, does an amazing job every year, and it's a lot of work. She juggles so many things, guys. I can't begin to tell you, and she is amazing. So I just want you to please give a virtual round of applause, finger snaps, whatever it is that you guys do on the virtual atmosphere for Shannon, because Shannon, once again, you did a truly incredible job. So congratulations on the job well done.
Thank you.
It
To
was
my
so good.
mentor, thank you.
Of course.
Thank you, Victor.
Of course, you deserve that and more. And I also want to point out that Dion Aiken is on the YouTube, and she is the person who started the mentorship program as we know today. Yes. So a big thank you to her as well, because she's also always amazing.
Definitely. But I do want to say thank you to my team, because you guys have been rock stars this year as well, just helping me out with everything and being willing to just jump on it at the last minute. So I truly appreciate each of you, Alexis, Karen, Scott, Victor, and Virginia. Thank you so much for helping.
And Raina for designing the awesome brick.
Yes, and Raina, thank you. That brick is awesome. I can't wait to see it in person. Well, if I ever get to see it in person at this point. But it does look amazing. So at least want pictures of all four sides.
Yeah.
But with that, let me stop my screen sharing just in case anyone wants to say anything. But thank you guys for joining us tonight. We hope that you had a good couple of hours with us, almost. But thank you again to Gail. That was so amazing, that interaction. We just really appreciate you, and we hope that we can interact with you again in the future with AIGA. It's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. It was fun.
Gail, just know that you have friends and family down here in Orlando. So anytime you want to come down,
again, this is recorded.
We all have houses too, so I'm sure somebody could.
You're really be friends with a house. So.
Yeah. We'll show you water and sand.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yes, awesome. Yes.
Awesome.
All right, well, we will call that the end then. Thank you guys again for joining. and have
Congratulations, everyone.
Yes.
Congratulations, everyone. Great job. Great work all around.